Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this video on Wordsworth's ode titled as Ode to Duty. William Wordsworth, 1770 to 1850, was born on April 7, 1770, in Cockermouth, Cumberland, England. He is a celebrated romantic poet and published lyrical ballads in 1798 with his poet friend S.D. Coleridge. Publication of lyrical ballads is considered as the beginning and manifesto of the Romanticism in England. Wordsworth is well known as a nature poet. His poetry reflects the ideas and ideals preached by Rousseau, the French revolutionist, and his love, admiration, and respect for nature and the values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Apart from nature poems, he has also written many poems on the subjects chosen from the common life of England. The important poems of William Wordsworth include Tintern Abbey, 1798, Simon Lee, The Old Huntsman, 1800, Michael, 1800, The Old Cumberland Beggar, 1800, The Solitary Reaper, 1807, Ode Intimations of Immortality from Recollections of Early Childhood, which is very famous, published in 1807. Daffodils, very celebrated poem of William Wordsworth, published in 1807. The Prelude, the autobiographical explanation of his own self in the long poem, published in 1850. And The Recluse, published in 1880. His poetry is moral in tone. A close analysis of his ideas about a poet and poetry, as reflected in the preface to lyrical ballads that he published in 1800, would show us that for Wordsworth, a good poet is essentially a good teacher. Wordsworth was poet laureate from 1843 until his death from pleurisy on 23rd April 1850. Ode to Beauty is a very beautiful poem that is written by William Wordsworth in 1807. Ode to Duty reflects his thoughts on the necessity of observing the principle of duty in one's life. The poem begins with an epigraph, as we could see. The epigraph is written by Seneca. These lines are from Seneca's Letters 120.10 in epigraph, and they help in developing the opening and meaning of the poem, which brings out Wordsworth's idea of duty. I am no longer good through deliberate intent, but by long habit have reached a point where I am not only able to do right, but I am able to do anything but what is right. This is from Seneca's Letters 120.10. It states that one may not be a good person by nature, but if he allows the path of duty for a long time, then he can do only what is good and righteousness. What a wonderful way of opening the poem Ode to Duty. Let's move ahead to the first stanza. The entire poem has got 8 stanzas, and in 8 stanzas, he explains the importance of duty in a man's life. The first stanza is a sort of introduction, and normally in Wordsworth's poetry, we could see that it is man's relation with nature that he always talks about. So, this poem also begins by introducing man and nature. He calls duty as stern daughter. Stern is very strict. Stern daughter of the voice of God. So, duty is the stern daughter of God Himself. God for him is the Almighty that controls the entire world and nature. It may not belong to one religion of Christianity or Judaism, but God is the controlling power exercising to this world through nature for Wordsworth. So, stern daughter of the voice of God, a direct address to the describing object is what is called as an ode. So, here he directly addresses duty as a stern daughter, a strict daughter who is the voice of God Himself. O duty, again a sort of apostrophe or direct address. If that name thou love, who art, art in poetry is are, who are a light to God, a rod to check the erring is mistakes, and reprove, thou who art victory and law, when empty terrors overawe is getting frightened. From vain temptations, dost set free. Dost is you set free, and calmest the very strife of frail humanity. Weary is tired, strife is working, frail is weak human beings. What does he say in the first stanza? Stern daughter of the voice of God, O duty, if that name thou love, who art a light to guide, a rod to check the erring and reprove, thou who art victory and love, when empty terrors overawe, from vain temptations dost set free, and calmest the very strife of frail humanity. In the very first stanza, the poet personifies duty as the daughter of the voice of God. This daughter is stern. She works like a torch that guides the right path for the people and corrects those who do the wrong things. She saves from the temptations in life and works as a law in itself, like a ruler rules the people through terror. Duty provides calmness, fulfillment, and peace to the duty bound people by protecting them from the trivial struggles of human life. So, in the very first stanza, Wordsworth introduces duty as the strict daughter who is the voice of God Himself, who controls everything, and one who follows duty will have calm in their mind, fulfillment, and peace of mind. Let's go ahead to the second stanza. There are who ask not if thine eye be on them, who in love and truth, where no misgivings is, rely upon the genial sense of youth. Glad hearts, glad, happy hearts, without reproach or blot. Blot is disgrace. Who do thy work and know it not. Oh, if through confidence misplaced, thy fail, thy saving arms, dread power around them cast. Such beautiful stanza. The second explains the people with the inner sense of conscience and duty. In this world, there are a group of people who are driven by the inner sense of conscience and duty by nature, by first choice. Such people are on the path of duty. They don't even know that they are doing their duty, but they are dutiful and they have a peaceful life. So he says, there are who ask not if thine eye be on them. So there are a group of people on this world. There are a set of people in this world who don't even know that they are following the duty. There are who ask not if thine eye be on them, who in love and truth, where no misgiving is rely, in love and truth, by nature they are loving, by nature they are truthful, rely upon the genial sense of youth. From the young age, from the beginning, they are towards duty, love, and truth. Glad hearts they are. They're always happy because by nature they are good and are on the path of duty. Without reproach or blot, they lead their life without any reproaches, without any forgivings, without any disgraces because they are on the right path of duty. Who do thy work and know it not. They do every piece of work dutifully, but they don't even know that it is duty that they are following, and they live a happy life. Oh, if through confidence misplaced, if at all they move out of your duty, out of the right path, they fail. When they fail, you are there. Thy saving arms dread power around them cast. They are always on the right path of duty. But if sometimes they fail to do their duty and they are misplaced from their path, you are there, O duty, to bring them back onto the path. Such people are happy lot. Without even knowing that they are following the duty, they do it and they are happy. So, the second stanza tells us that there are some people who govern themselves through the inner sense of conscience of right and wrong. They do not care whether they are observed by the strict rule of duty because they do what needs to be done as responsible citizens. They are guided by the principle of love and truth. But if they go wrong, the duty always brings them back to the right path. So, a happy lot of people they are. The third stanza talks about the life of the duty bound people. They are always happy. Such people who are following the duty by conscience from the young age are always happy. Serene, serene is very peaceful and calmful, calm. Serene will be our days, and bright and happy will our nature be. If you are on the path of duty, serene will be our days, and bright and happy will be our nature. When love is an unerring light, unerring? Right, correct. So you are loving and joy its own security. Such people are always loving, such people are always joyful, and they a blissful course may hold. Even now, who not unwisely bold, live in the spirit of this creed, yet seek thy firm support according to their need. So, such people who are always duty bound are happy lot. They are always loving, they are always right, they are always on the correct path, joyful, leading a blissful life. So, the third stanza further explains the life of the duty bound people that is introduced in the second stanza. Those who conduct their life with the moral obligation of doing good and noble and believe in the great power of love for all forms of life, they live a peaceful and a happy life always. Such people may not consciously know that they are following the rules of duty. However, duty supports them when they need its help always. So the second and the third stanzas explain the life of those people who are always on the path of duty. Their life is loving, their life is truthful, their life is blissful, and they have a sort of joyful life throughout without even knowing that they are following duty. They are always dutiful. And if at all by chance here and there they come out of their path, it is duty that brings them back onto the right path, and their life is always joyful and blissful. The fourth stanza is quite interesting because from the fourth stanza onwards, the poet becomes autobiographical and he talks about his own life. He begins his stanza. He is becoming autobiographical. Loving freedom and untried, no sport of every random gust, yet being to myself a guide, too blindly have reposed my trust. And oft, when in my heart was heard thy timely mandate, I deferred the task in smoother walks to stray, but thee I now would serve more strictly if I may. So he is giving an example of his own self. When the poet was young, in his young days, he loved freedom more than duty. In the first, second, and third stanzas, he says, dutiful life is a must. And he also explained in the second and third stanzas as to how the life of people who follow the inner sense of consciousness of duty and their life will be filled with happiness, joyful, blissful, and always serene. But the poet, coming to his own example, says that in his young days, loving freedom, he always loved freedom, and freedom is always, or many a times, away from duty. Loving freedom and untried, no sport of every random gust. So every place he went, yet being to myself a guide, he was the guide to himself, too blindly have reposed my trust. So he believed in his freedom and did not follow the duty. Too blindly have reposed my trust, and oft when in my heart was heard thy timely mandate. Thy is yours. Your here is duty. Duty is mandate. Mandate is authority. So whenever in the heart of hearts duty started controlling the poet kept duty aside and followed his free will and did whatever he wanted to do, following his freedom in his youth. I deferred. So he did not follow duty, but he followed freedom. I deferred the task in smoother walks to stray. So I always preferred to go on the smoother paths of life, in a beautiful path, enjoying my freedom, but never bothered about duty filled life. So, in the fourth stanza, the poet is becoming autobiographical and shifts The poem shifts to the autobiographical notes in the life of the poet. Wordsworth mentions that in his youth he never thought of the rule of duty. He loved and enjoyed limitless freedom of the soul and spent a life guided by his inner wishes and desires. Of course, in following his own inner impulses, he has not broken the limits of moral or sensible behavior, but did not follow duty's call. He always followed his freedom, his wishes and his desires. Now, as a grown up person, that's why in the last line he says, "But thee I now would serve more strictly if I may." So now he says, now as a grown up person, he has made his mind to follow the path of duty. In his earlier days, in his youth, he did not follow the path of duty, though he did not break many rules of life. He tried and he loved to follow his freedom, his wishes, and his desires in his young days. But now he says, after I have grown up and have become matured, I know the importance of duty, and now I would want to follow duty as it is, he says. So, with this, we come to the half of the poem. Let's stop here. The poem is a very beautiful expression of duty and the effect of duty on a man's life to be on the right path. We'll continue with the rest of the half four stanzas tomorrow. Thank you for being a part of this video.